What up? What up? What up? Welcome to another episode of 94 Feet with Coach JT. As usual, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, leave a like and some comments. Let me know what you think as I continue to grow the podcast, have some dope guests on, venture off into some new things going to this season 2 episode, I believe 14, 15 right now. Also, visit 94feetwithcoachjt.com. Got the merch, got some t-shirts, got some gears. HBCU season for all you HBCU folks out there. Shout out to Alcorn State University. It's swag time, baby. Let's get into this episode right here. My guest today is a 2023 Sun Conference champion, Florida Memorial University, assistant coach, recruiting coordinator, NAIA, head coach, Grand Prairie playoff. She advanced to the 6A division in that division. Let's see, 2017 UIL Champions Duncanville, I believe. Also was a head coach at Paul Quinn College, NAIA. Also, man, let's keep going. Head coach of the Dallas ISD 5A. She's a WNBA Pro Trainer, youth camp director as well. Currently, she is the head coach at South Oak Cliff High School. None other than Stephanie Cooper, head coach women's basketball. How you doing, Coach Coop?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me today.
Thanks for getting on. I know you've been back and forth trying to make this happen. Our time frame and time zone's been a little bit of an issue, but also you everywhere. You've been traveling every weekend for the last couple of weeks. You've been in and out. How are you doing?
I'm really good. Like you said, I've been traveling all summer for some basketball camps. So finally getting settled in, being back in Texas and then at the new school.
That's what's up. So before we get into the current situation, give us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
All right, so I am born and raised in Dallas, Texas. Shout out Shakari Richardson, repping for us right now, putting us back on the map.
Yep.
But I'm from South Garland High School, graduated there 2005. That's the home of Terrell Harris and most recently Tyrese Maxey for the 76ers. So, come from a really good Dallas Garland area.
That's what's up. Shout out to Dallas. Got some people down there too.
Yeah.
Outside of the game of basketball for yourself, being just a sports person in general, but then also what other sports growing up, how active were you as a young lady in the sport of basketball and just other things? What other things did you put your time into as far as athletically or just being busy?
Football, actually. So I was playing football before I got involved with basketball. But once I got to high school, they just narrowed me down to like a one sport. And so AAU, fall leagues, all that was just basketball all year round.
That's what's up. So going on with basketball, as far as like, let's say, women, men that you may have looked up to or remembered your game after, who are some of the people you may have, that, okay, look, I was out there trying to get like them or putting in some work like them on the court?
Cheryl Swoops, Cynthia Cooper, anyone from the Houston Comets back then, but those two for sure. Like I actually had this Cheryl Swoops shoe back then and would have the jerseys, and I was like, this is who I am. I would claim Cynthia Cooper as my cousin since we had the last name. I was like, well, why not? But those are a couple of the greats. Lisa Leslie, for the post player, but I was more of a shooting guard. So everything Cheryl and Cynthia Cooper would do, I would try to emulate.
That's what's up. Got relative sisters, brothers, anything like that?
Yeah, I got a sister. I have two sisters, two brothers.
And so, other sports athletes, or was it just you? Or was
they played everything. My stepdad was actually our coach. So we grew up and they were in baseball, football, basketball. My younger sisters were cheerleaders at the time. So it was like 5 of us just deep all weekends or sports. So really that's where my competitiveness comes from. But just the love of sports. And even now we get together on Sundays for football or baseball during the week.
How competitive was the household?
Very. You know how it goes. The sibling fights over the remotes, everything, basketball 1-on-1. Even with my dad, like we would go at it on the court. So it really kind of just built me, made me into really the person that I am and type of coach and stuff that I am today.
That's what's up. As you know now, right? You said you do training. We're familiar with that world is different, right? They get access, players get access to everything they need inside. They don't got to go outside on the blacktops in the humid air of the South as much as we did growing up. But what would you say right now has been the biggest? I would say let's go positive though thing? What thing has been that players get to take advantage of now that we probably didn't get to take advantage of back then? What's one of the biggest things that you see the difference is in right now?
Really, YouTube and having access to so many drills, fundamental work, like you can research everything.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, we would have to show up to a practice in order to get the information, but now they can just Google whatever, research whatever. They have videos for everything. So there's really no excuse not to know or build that IQ, but they can do everything. Like they have access to it, they can see it. Having the NBA, WNBA games that they can stream just from the
Mm-hmm.
phone, like highlights, as fast as everything is coming out is a major difference. Opposed to us, we had to either be at the game
You're
to
lucky if you
witness
catch
that,
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
or you had to wait to the news
yeah,
or something like that,
that's what's
or the
up.
newspaper too. Back then.
So let's jump into the high school career a little bit. Or actually,
Okay.
let's say I asked a lot of guests this. So from your middle school time, as we know, high school is it no matter where you're at. I mean, depending on if it's freshman, varsity, whatever, JV.
Mhm.
But what was something you said you had to add to your game as a lady baller from middle school to high school to be like, okay, now get some time on the court, be a mainstay on the court. What are some things you had to add to your, as they say, add to your bag?
Defense, wanting to play defense, really buying into that because that's going to keep you on the floor the longest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in middle school, like my eighth grade year, offense was everything. Like I'm trying to break people's ankles and stuff like that. But then when you get to a high school level, it was all right. These girls, everybody's good. You know what I mean? They don't just have one superstar, but in order to stay on the floor, you had to play defense. And I remember one time I had actually gotten to it with a coach, which kind of shows my maturity back then, on a defensive drill. And it was one of those drills where like you just don't stop. You stay on the court until you get a defensive stop.
Mm-hmm.
And I was over it. I was like, yo, what is this? And then after my freshman year, I got it together, started listening, matured a little bit more, and was able to see some more time.
That's what's up. Going to high school, what was the biggest, I would say, not setback, but thing you had to reality check for you
Hmm.
personally? What was something you had to go check yourself, like outside of defensive things, something else, like I gotta change this, or this is not as easy as I thought as it was.
Everything, just adjusting to the school and academics first, being able to, sorry,
You're
being
good.
able to,
That's that live high school action
that's
for
that
you.
live high
It's
school action,
it's all
right?
good. Still with the kids, them
Yeah.
announcements going on. It's all good.
Oh, but the grades. So being
Mm-hmm.
able or having to pass to play. Um, I really didn't take, like, school was easy for me
Mm.
at first. But once I started getting to like my 10th grade, sophomore, junior year, I really had to buckle down and like dedicate time to studying.
That's what's up. Student athlete, got to do it. Got to take
Yes,
care
you
of
have
business.
to.
Got
And
to take
even
care of
now, I
business.
think that's one thing these kids kind of struggle with from really COVID. COVID year hurt a lot of these kids that are now
Mm-hmm.
juniors.
Junior,
And we're
seniors.
seeing it, yeah, and seniors, and we're seeing it across athletics, number one, but also
Mm-hmm.
just academically.
Yeah. I think just overall, just academic base for all athletes got to be a bigger priority, and for every coach, all schools, more resources put into the athletes as well too. Because in high school, it's demanding of your time. You go to practice,
Right.
you try to go to school, you got extra work. It can be a struggle.
Yeah.
Um, Give me a highlight from your high school career, something you remember, something that you stamp like, okay, this is I'll never forget this moment.
Let's see. Really just playing JV varsity like as a freshman. Um, I think just making that team, the upperclassmen team, as a freshman,
Mm-hmm.
or a sophomore. And then I had injuries too. So just being
Mm-hmm.
able to come back from my injuries and getting on the floor, um, that was big and exciting for me.
So, if you don't mind, what couple injuries, like what?
Knee, eighth grade, I tore my ACL on one of these legs. I've had multiple surgeries on both knees. Most
Wow.
recently, like 4 years ago, I tore my ACL again,
Still
being
hooping?
an adult. Uh, Actually getting off a
Uh,
school bus, missing that step that bottom
Sheesh.
step. It was raining. It was dark. It was late. We just got back from
Oh, wow.
a college showcase, and
Sheesh.
yeah. So I've
So,
always had knee problems. That's how I got into coaching, just right out of college, because I already knew like I'm not gonna be able to
gotcha.
go overseas or anything like that.
What was the biggest transition then? Because I know, me too. I jumped into it anyway. No
Hmm.
injury, thank God. But I was like, I knew I wanted to be a coach person anyway. But what was that? Okay, now what was that like going from player to coach? Like, hey, I'm done playing, but I'm
Hmm.
coaching, but I'm still, how was that transition?
It was kind of easy for me just because of college. So I did a lot of internships. I was already coaching. I was a kinesiology major.
Mm,
So we were going into like the elementary, middle schools and teaching. So I think that really just vetted me
mm-hmm.
early, to really understand like what it was that students need, knowing the difference. So I never really came. That transition was easy because I was taught, in the college trained setting, how to be a coach, teacher first, but I had the mentors, the professors there to kind of coach me along the way.
Nice.
So that really helped.
That's what's up. What was as you started this coaching journey, what was one of the toughest things you had to like I guess realize like, okay, 'cause I know sometimes even me doing it, like I'm not playing anymore. I know I'm
Hmm.
coaching, but
Hmm.
nowadays communication wise, we cannot, for me personally, talk to athletes the same way we got talked to.
Exactly. And that's really the last couple of years I've noticed that transition. um, we can't coach how we were, especially like with practices. And even now, you mentioned not being on the outside court. I found the outside court when I was driving this morning. So I was like, oh, we have to have like a boot camp out there just to get them. Because it's been like 108 degrees
I
in
believe,
Texas
hey,
all week.
I already know it's
So
been.
I said 1 or 2 days, we got to go out there just to teach them, kind of build that dog in them and let them
Mm-hmm.
know, like, this is how it started, on the blacktop,
Right.
net chain, or not net chain, the chain net, all that.
Double rims, all that. You gotta
Double
make shots.
rims. Yeah, we
Yeah,
don't have to get out there.
yeah. They definitely spoiled now. They definitely spoiled now for sure. Public school cracking. Uh, let's get. What about as far as right now? You've been traveling a lot, right? How much of a man? One is dope. I love to travel. I love
Hmm.
basketball, but to be able to do that and give guidance, give clarification, give teaching to students, to players across the states. Like you've been across
Yeah.
the states. How
Hmm.
rewarding is that for you, knowing where you started, where you came from, what you're doing now to be back though in Texas doing what you do? But just as far as that being to move your brand, what you do, different students, different players across the states.
Yeah, I love it. That's one reason why I work with the certain organizations I do. PGC basketball, um,
Mm,
Nancy Lieberman camps. Did some Dallas Maverick camps. I just wasn't able to do it this summer, but I really worked with PGC over the summer and Recruit Nation as well. And so I get with companies that really teach the game of basketball and that they have really structured camps and combines. And so it's rewarding for me because I do get to go to other states, as you said, and really see the difference of style and play. So, like this summer, I was able to go to Arizona, Tempe,
Tempe,
Arizona.
yep,
Yeah,
Tempe.
Tempe, Arizona State University.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent the week out there for a PGC camp, and those kids, like, it's just a different style of basketball, and I could really appreciate it. And
Mm-hmm.
going to California, same thing. Even being out in Florida the last year, of course, nothing really compares to Texas. I'm always ride or die and say we have the best athletes here, basketball, football, any of them. But it's rewarding for me because I do get to meet so many kids, and I actually keep up with them. Like we follow each other on Twitter, and I'm able to track them and help them as they get to high school with recruiting, and just those ties that I have with college coaches. But it's just my way to giving back. I really feel like this is my purpose. And so, as many kids that I can influence and really just help grow the game, especially with the girls on the girls side, like I've seen some phenomenal girls like wearing good hands at
Oh,
the
they
middle
got.
school,
Oh yeah,
eighth grade, ninth grade, like seventh grade, sixth, seventh grade classes. Like it's some girls that
that
they're
can go, huh?
dunking, they're already hitting rim, like touching rim. So everybody's talking about, bring that excitement, lower their goals. We don't need that. But this next generation, like they're really getting it.
That's dope. See, that's dope to see. Yeah, it's a lot of
Yeah.
good young ladies on here on the West Coast too, for sure. I was up in I mean locally too, but I was covering the
Hmm.
actual women's PBA in Alameda, and women's game alone though too was growing out there. I have a women's real legit pro league, Euro basket
Yeah.
league. Season 2 this year was dope. Got to cover a lot of that stuff out there for them. But even the
Hmm.
younger girls game and women's games, they're definitely growing, evolving. So this is your first year at Oak Cliff.
Yeah. South Oak
Okay,
Cliff High
South
School.
Oak Cliff High School. All right, so for those, I'm sure your locals will be tuning in when this drops.
Hmm.
What are some things they can look forward to from what you're bringing to the table in the program? And again, if you've been in coaching a while, I have too. You know, it takes work to either turn a program around or maintain a program. But what is the kind of like? What are you basing the foundation of work on, and what to expect this year from your team?
So this team is still young. So we have a lot of 10th graders, a few freshmen that I'm meeting right now, but mainly 10th grade. That 10th grade class is kind of stacked. I have 3 seniors returning. And so for me, it's just establishing the foundation of culture and really building their confidence. These girls they've been through a lot on and off the court, but they're still persevering. And I think now, just the attitude and that mindset that I bring in is something that's really going to fine tune the direction that we're going this season. We are going I'm going to claim it now. We're going to San Antonio. We're going to make that trip. Okay. 5A is stacked though. I mean, we got to get through Frisco schools. We got to
Mm-hmm.
get through like a Denton guy or so many. But I'm confident that we can do it. We have the skill, the athleticism. I got some height. Um, they're bought in. They've been working hard
That's
throughout the
cool.
summer, which was kind of different because I was doing some stuff on Zoom, but my assistant coaching staff really held it down for summer workouts, and they're good kids too. So now it's just showing them the way to go. Like they've had a really good foundation. They have a rich legacy at South Oak Cliff. This was home to Gary Blair, his first coaching stop, and they've won championships under him back in the '80s and Friend Harris. And for me, it's just bringing the historical purpose and value back to these kids so that
Mm-hmm.
they know who walked these halls before them, and then what is it their legacy that they want to leave behind, and really jumping in line. Like our football team is known; they've won state championship back to back, so they're going for a three-peat. So the culture, the excitement is there for sports because of
Mm-hmm.
what the coach Todd has did with football, and
Mm-hmm.
so now I'm the type of coach I have that.
Connect.
Yeah, I got the skills, I got the rings, you know what I mean, and so just trying to bring all that here to South Oak Cliff, and we have a great athletic director too, and Coach Mays, and so he feels like. I'm the missing puzzle to just the sports program, and the kids are buying in, and I'm excited.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So, as we know, I'm not sure. The coaching. If you're blessed, it is financially good to you. However,
Yes.
it's not about the funds like that because people are like, why do you do it for so long? I think this is going on year 17 for me,
Hmm.
maybe 18. I don't keep track anymore. But how is it? How's the feeling of it when you say like former players or parents come back and say, hey, thank you for what you did, or I appreciate you for doing this, or I didn't realize back then, but now it's 5 years later and you see your old player coach like, hey, I appreciate it. What type of feeling does that do for you personally?
I mean, that's the best feeling based on you ran down my bio, but um, I think something that really put things in perspective for me when I was at Grand Prairie 2 years ago, I was able to hire an alumni player. She played basketball there. My first year there. I was trying to establish um, an alumni program and get back to the community, which is something I'm doing here at SOC. But she was able to come and be my assistant coach. And then when I left for FMU, she was actually promoted to the head coach. And so for me, those are the things that I get the most joy out of. And if I had to pinpoint anything on the resume, it's like being able to hire those kids who did what they're supposed to do, through the game of basketball, finished college, and then now they want to get into teaching. And even here, I was able to hire an assistant that my assistant coach, Rosie Davis, she played at Duncanville High School, and I knew her from being at Duncanville. She was there before I would coach there, but just that legacy of having the Pantherette in the system, I think that's big for me. So I'm excited to have her on my staff this year. But for me, I love that. Like I have two other players that recently graduated from Grand Prairie, and they're going to be volunteering and helping me along the way. So when those kids do what was right, do what's asked of them, and they let this basketball journey carry them to the next level. I think coaches, it's our responsibility to give them those jobs, give them those opportunities, and vouch for them and speak up. And that's just a part of me being a mentor.
That's what's up. Good deal. Doing service forever. That's I
Yes.
mean, that's really what it is, right?
Service to all mankind. Shout
There you
out
go.
Kappa Alpha Incorporated.
Oh, there you go. So let me get that. Let me throw that in there real
Let me
quick.
throw
That's
that
what's
in there.
up. That's what's up. Speaking of just as far as the mentorship, you personally, what, let's say, every players and coach relationships are different. I don't care how people look at it, right?
Mhm.
But do you intentionally try to build individual bonds with each players, or just find some type of, because you can't really guarantee it's going to be a bond there, but some type of connection with each player because everyone is different? Or do you just kind of let it naturally come, or do you make it intentional? Like, okay, I want to find something about each one of my players I can kind of connect to, because if they trust each other first off, but also if they do trust you and buy in, they'll do whatever for you.
Right. You said it, just that everything really, individual relationships, but I'm big on team bonding and community service.
Mm-hmm.
And so in those moments, really just being together as much as possible. And that's probably is the collegiate experience, like we're all stuck there. We don't have families, so we do everything together. And so I kind of bring that concept to the high school level. And like you said, not everybody connects on a certain level to where when they go into adulthood, like they're texting me all the time. It's not like that with all my players, but they do know if anything happens, they can call me. You know what I mean? On certain things, they know if they're wrong, I can't support, but I'm still gonna love them at the end of the day. But it's
Yeah.
all that. So if it's some players I'm closer to, and it just really comes down to that relationship, but just the bond and what it is, how many things we have in common or not. But I have a son too, and so I'm able to relate to these kids because he's like 18. He's a lot of their age anyway. So I think that helps me as well, with how to build those relationships with these young athletes.
Oh yeah, right.
For real, when
Been
you're a
through
mom,
it.
it's just like,
You've been
yeah,
through it. You were right there with
parents.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that though, okay, let's flip it around. Parents,
Yes.
parents and athletes are different these days. So,
Yes.
how's your, what's your theory on the parent? I mean, how do you navigate that space to
Yeah.
get parents to really buy in, or if they choose to do something else?
Now that was I actually thought about the parents when you asked me what was the biggest transition,
Mm-hmm.
and I said the college train part, but the parents, how to deal with, communicate, and really just remind them that we all have the same goal.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had any really major parent issues because early on in season I established that foundation and let them know like this is what it is, this is our goal, this is how we're going to get there, but I do need y'all's help. So just really overly communicating with parents, I feel like is the best and something that they can appreciate. I try not to do things or give them last minute information, especially knowing if they have younger siblings or really just with their jobs, they don't have time to kind of, be as flexible with last minute things. And so I haven't had any major issues with parents, but I do establish that the boundaries early on.
All right. So I know in the aspect of time, you at the school ground working right now, but at the end of every interview or show, as we know in basketball, the triple threat is you dribble, pass, and shoot the basketball. However,
Okay.
for your new parents, new players who'll be listening, anybody, new viewers as well, just give me your personal triple threat though. 3 things that you personally like stand on, put your stamp on, and like people will know, like, oh, Coach Coop, oh yeah, that's her. I can tell that's Coach Coop. So give me your 3 things, your triple threat right now.
Oh, that's a good one. Triple threat. They can be non-basketball related,
Whatever,
anything.
yeah, anything.
Okay. Um, First, they know that or community service is going to be a must for me in any program that I'm a part of. Um, and that really just helps the kids and just our networking and
Mm-hmm.
sponsorships. Um, Dang. Mindset. Like I have a growth mindset. And so I try to instill that with my players as well and showing them like there's anything you want to do, you can really do it if you put in the hard work and if you have a mindset that not being comfortable and continuing to stretch and grow. Even with a lot of the camps that I go to, usually I'm like the oldest person there, you know, and everybody else is like fresh out of college. And they're like, Coach, what are you here for? But it's so that I can just stay locked in the game. So having a growth mindset, community service, and then respect, ultimately. I don't get into politics. Any place or organization that I go, I leave that to those who want to participate. And it's like, I'm just here for if it's basketball or the teaching part, you know, and about the kids at the end of the day. So as long as the kids are flourishing, they're happy, they're getting all the recognition and everything that they deserve, then I'm fine. So respect, community service, and having a growth mindset.
Respect, community service, having a growth mindset.
Yeah,
Appreciate you. Appreciate. There you go. Yep, triple threat. Best of luck to you and your team this year. I know it'll be exciting. Definitely gonna be tapping in, watching, see how they're doing, see how you guys are doing. Appreciate you taking time out your day to hop on with me. Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. I know, like, you're excited about this move. I can tell. Got some dope the visuals behind me and a big love the school with mascot behind there. Definitely okay.
They see
I
it.
see
They
it.
see it.
Yeah. All right, man. You guys heard it here first, live in person with Coach Coop and Coach JT on 94 Feet with Coach JT. We out. Peace.
Bye.